Welcome everyone to this day 3 and final day of the Soul Seekers Summit. I am one of your guides, Linda Krause-Barnett. And that...
Hi, sorry, had to tell my children to stop screaming in the background. My name is Patricia Romero-Wolfson, and I'm your other soul guide, and I am so happy to be here for the Soul Seekers Summit, where we're going to talk about all the things that potentially are coming up for you as you are home, stuck in quarantine with your family. This looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
So I thought I'd make a little joke because laughter is also medicine. But the lesson plan for today, I found this mock homeschool schedule and I thought it was hilarious. I wanted to share it. It's just like 9 a.m. home ec, learn to make me a decent coffee. 10 a.m. engineering, how to operate and hover the washing machine. How to carry out recycling, which is PE, chemistry, how to bleach and disinfect the bathroom, geography, where the items you have strewn across the floor actually live. So it's just this hilarious.
I love that.
mock schedule. And I love this 5 p.m. after school club, go to your room with your iPad and be quiet. Just made me laugh so hard. So I thought I'd share that because basically, as funny as this is, it's real. Like, my cousin's been posting it for all week. Like, she's calling it home ec, and they're learning how to bake cookies, and they're learning how to cook, and they're learning how to clean and scrub. So that's an important part of, if you're going to be home all together, then the contribution needs to be taught because it's an important part of the day. Hi, Blueberry. All right, so how do we educate our kids in this climate of change? And I thought this was important because it says play is the highest form of research. It's funny to me because as a teacher for 13 years, there are many things I like about our educational system and there are many things I don't. And I've often looked at alternative models of school for my kids. Like if I moved, what would the ideal school look like? And the ideal school for me is so much more based on allowing kids to teach themselves, allowing kids to learn on their own, to use play and to use curiosity and imagination more than our schools allow us to do currently, right? So it's hard to do this with this here, but I'm going to do my very best. Okay, so some tips for homeschooling during coronavirus. And these are just some quick things that I will go into more detail. I won't go into more detail on all of it, but I'll go into more detail on the ones that I feel are the most important. So know your kid or kids, do passion projects, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Create global citizens, because how important is it right now to create a global citizen in your child? It's like, that's going to change how this world looks for them. I'm going to give you some online resources. We're going to talk a little bit about routine and planning your space, growth mindset, and just basically how to be graceful for everybody, because we're all in uncharted waters and we're navigating new places. So we have to look at it with grace and compassion and patience. All right. So, patience, love, trust, and respect. I think if you have those things, then you've set up an environment of learning. You've set up an environment of this is what matters most. And then after that, what you teach is secondary in importance to setting an environment of patience, love, trust, and respect. Okay, so what can we learn from our family? What can we learn from the world? What can we learn from change? And what can we learn from relationships? So as far as family, I think this is an important time to do things that we don't normally have time for. Things like researching your family lineage. I saw something online where they created a family shield. And so each person in the family drew a family shield and designed what they believed were the most important kind of pillars of their family. And then they put all the family shields up, and they're using that each day to like remember what your family shield, the pillars of your family shield. It's a great time to look at photo albums of your grandparents, of your great grandparents, kind of learn about your family tree and where you come from. And if you come from a country that you've never visited, then that could possibly turn into a passion project. You know, if you come from if your grandparents come from a country that you don't know much about, then use that. And now you've created this interest level. It's personal to them. So now we're going to research this country, whether it's France or Portugal or Brazil or Morocco, whatever it is. If you want to know where they came from, let's learn about it. Let's learn about the foods and the culture and where it is on a map, geography, the currency. So now you're including math. You could teach all of the skills that the kids need, but you could teach it in a way that's relevant to what they're facing now. And now is a great time to talk about your family and to talk about the world. Now, I don't believe too much in the news with my kids. I think that that's an unhealthy energy for me and my kids. So we don't have the news on when my kids are around, but that doesn't mean they're ignorant to the situation. I'm still exposing them to what's going on in the world. I'm just filtering and sifting the information that I feel is developmentally appropriate for them to be exposed to. I'm giving them the information with the energy that I would like them to have, because I don't believe that I can count on the news to do that for my children. Does that make sense? Okay. And then relationships, you know, like sometimes my daughter and my son and my husband are not too affected by the physical disconnection because, you know, they're okay with it. But my son and I, who constantly need physical contact and communication, are suffering a little bit differently. So he's been on Messenger Kids and he's been FaceTiming his friends, like 20 friends a day. We give him a time limit, but he needs that connection. And so that's a discussion in our house. That's a lesson. That's an academic time. Is like, let's talk about relationships. What do you need? What do I need? What does daddy need? How are we different? And how do our relationships that normally are on autopilot, now we're making them conscious. I'm teaching them conscious relationships. I'm teaching them conscious communication. That's not something I really did a lesson on prior to this. But I consider it part of their homeschooling because they're going to need that in the conditions that their lives will take them in moving forward from this point. So stop thinking of homeschooling as like math, science, social studies, history. Let your schools take care of that. Let the teachers take care of that. And if they're not taking care of that, then be flexible about what you're teaching. So here it just says, know your kid, be flexible with their emotional needs and allow frequent breaks if they are easily distracted. I hear so many parents online like, my kid won't focus. They won't sit still. How can I teach a kid who doesn't listen? You know, and now you know what the teachers have gone through. But here's the thing. They're at home, you know, like, they've been conditioned to sit in a desk in school. They have not been conditioned to do that at home. Home brings comfort, home brings couches, and home brings, so what we've done too is flexible seating. You know, sometimes you'll sit at the table and sit in a chair, but other times sit in a beanbag, make a fort, work in there, sit outside on a chair. Allow them to feel the comfort of home, even though they're working. That's what we want. That's what we do when we sit and work, is we try to create a little, you know, I light my sage and I have my crystals and I have my computer. So I create the setting for myself, and I need to provide that same kind of environment for my children. What do they want? Do they want a teddy bear? What is it that they want around them while they're working to feel safe, protected, comfortable? No different than us adults need when we're working. I think this is one of the most important things, is creating global citizens. You know, talk to them about equity. There are kids who can't educate because they don't have access to internet and computers. And how does homeschooling look for someone without communication via computer? It's very different. So teach them about that. Open this up for an opportunity to talk about equity. Open it up for an opportunity to talk about a holistic person, that school is one aspect of their being, but who are they in other places and other areas of their life? This is a great time to talk about their future. You know, I would like to lead a discussion in my house, although I'm I'm kind of hesitating, but like, if you were in charge, what would you do different? What do you think the grown-ups are missing in this situation? It's okay to ask. They're very smart. They'll blow you away with their answers, you know? If you could do something different, what would it be? And engage them with curiosity instead of fear, because they are curious, but they're imagining and they're creative and they're coming up with solutions. Maybe they feel like no one really wants to know, or they're afraid to share it. So I think that's an important thing to do right now. Oh no, where did it go? Okay. Boom. And growth mindset. I put a link here. I know the link is on my show. I'm going to post the Prezi after, but it says Developing a Growth Mindset with Carol Dweck. It's a TED Talk. You can find it on YouTube. If you just YouTube Carol Dweck, she is kind of who created the growth mindset, and there are some amazing videos on it. This is something I paid a lot of attention to when I was in the classroom, and it just said individuals who believe their talents can be developed have a growth mindset. So whether that means through strategies, through hard work, what it means is that your weaknesses are only temporary, because as you work on any aspect of a quote unquote weakness, it grows. And so a fixed mindset is believing that, well, I'm not good at math. And then you put a period at the end of that sentence. No, you might not be good at an aspect of math, or you might not be good yet, but we're working on it. And ad nauseum, I did this with the kids in my class. So the language you would use when you're teaching your kids at home and they're saying, I can't do this, then maybe you say, well, let's try a different strategy. Or, you know, what I did is good enough. I'm fine with it. It's good enough. But then challenge them. Is it your best? You know, teach them how to raise the bar for themselves instead of you constantly give them their own intrinsic desire to raise the bar for themselves. And if they say this is too hard, which I hear all the time at this house, then maybe your reframe is this may take some time and effort. Okay. And that's okay. And these are called mind maps, and you can have your child make their own mind map. Like, okay, what are the things that you would like to apply to your growth mindset? What are some areas that we could use this quarantine time to work on? Do you want to learn how to play the guitar? Do you want to learn a language? Do you want to get better at math? And then they could create a growth mindset map for themselves. I want to learn my multiplication facts to 12. I want to, you know, be more proficient in the rock cycle. I mean, I don't know what they're going to come up with, but whatever it is that you believe they can work on, let them create a plan for themselves so that they feel involved in the process. You're not just kind of shoving it down their throat. You're saying, hey, we could use this opportunity to get better at the things that are hard for you when you're at school. And by the time you go back to school, you're going to rock it. You know, and now they know they can work on their weaknesses at home where it's safe and they don't have to worry about other students. There's something that we can do for our kids, you know? So for curriculum, I just put, listen, there's going to be what your district and your school and your teacher provides. That is what it is. I know my kids are on spring break right now until Monday. Both teachers have been emailing me. They've got their school set up. So I'm going to leave that to the experts. Although I'm an expert, but I'm not going to be one at home. There are, and I'm going to send everybody a Word document that I created. There are virtual field trips that are phenomenal. And you could visit all kinds of cool places. Like you can visit zoos, you could visit aquariums. There's a virtual field trip where the kids could visit the Great Lakes. And it's literally a drone camera that takes the kids through the Great Lakes and it shows them. And there's a tour guide. So the whole time they're visiting the lakes, the tour guide is talking to them and teaching them. But it's so cool because it's like you're on a trip with your computer. And so in the resources that I will provide for you, there's a link to just, and they're all free right now. Everybody has turned off the cost of it. So that's one of the things that I enjoy doing with my kids is like going on a virtual field trip. What museum do you want to visit? What lake, what state do you want to visit? Let's go to the Detroit Zoo, and we never have to leave home because there's a virtual field trip that will take you. And it's actually better than a real life experience because it'll take you to an animal's habitat, and then there'll be a guide there that talks to you with the animals. So there's all of these wonderful opportunities. Don't try to replicate school at home. Take a step back and follow the KISS motto. Keep it simple, sister. I changed the last S to sister.
I like that. That's a good adjustment.
Yeah. Teach them life skills. You know, Trish and I had this talk. Maybe teach them how to cook macaroni and cheese and make a grilled cheese. And because if anything, if you don't feel well, if you're tired, who knows? All the variables are up in the air. Teach them to care for themselves in the ways that is developmentally appropriate at their age. You know, if they are old enough to boil water, they should be helping in the kitchen. My daughter, you know, we baked cupcakes the other day. Teach them skills about life. You know, my husband and my son put a grill together the other day. And then it said, hold class in nature if possible. You know, do school in the backyard if you have one, do school in the front yard if you have one. Wherever, if you have access to anything outside of your home, that's inspirational. You can look up trees, you can look up leaves, you can look up birds. Take advantage of the things we normally miss because we are so busy with our lives. And now we have this imposed pause button, right? So sit in the pause button and appreciate. Teach them to notice things so that they won't walk through their day without mindfulness. Teach them, when you hear a bird, look for the bird. What kind of a bird is it? Don't ignore the sounds of birds. Don't ignore the trees blowing in the wind. Because if we teach them that now, they're going to take that into life when it gets back on track and it speeds up again, and it will. They're going to remember, wait a minute, I know things are going really fast right now, but I'm just going to take a pause and admire that bird or that butterfly. We need to teach them that because I believe that that's part of one of the causes that have gotten us where we are, right? So I think that's an important lesson. And just try one or two new things, see how your kids react. This is a great time to know what they like. They're constantly being told what to like at school or what to study or what to do. Allow them some freedom. Ask them, what would you like to learn about? What new things? And don't overwhelm them. Maybe give them choices. If they're really young, it's always nice to give. Here are your two choices. Which one do you pick? Obviously, the older children can make more diverse choices. But with the younger kids, keep it simple. Give them a few choices. And then they'll feel empowered by the ability to choose. Like, wow, I could choose what I want to learn? Yes, you can. And once you have their engagement, guess what else you'll have? Their focus and their attention. So, you know, we have to do this as mothers and fathers, not as teachers. So now's the time to teach compassion. If there's one lesson plan that I think we are all capable of because we love these little beings more than anybody else in the world, that's what we need to teach them right now. More than math and more than science and more than social studies, we need to remind them how much we love them, how much we are here for them, how much we value them and their voice. So make it fun. If you're feeling a little lost, please reach out to other parents and teachers, because if you're feeling it, they're feeling it. Again, photo albums, hobbies, recipes. I just signed up. Fender is doing 3 months of free guitar lessons online. So I just signed up because we have an acoustic guitar and I am going to learn to play. Now is the time for grace and compassion because we all need it. I have a PDF that I'll put somewhere. Trish will help me find a place to put it. And that's it. I want to just close off by saying, love your kids and give them what they need emotionally, and the rest will follow. The teachers will, when they go back to school, they'll fill in any blanks that there may be. So don't use this to add more stress. Use this to add more love.
Thank you
Voila.
so much. Thank you so much. That was so great. As a parent who, you know, like kind of freaked out the first week, we're on week 3 now, and technically we are also in spring break mode. Like, our spring break was supposed to be in April, but they made it for this week. I can say that it's really refreshing to hear you say like what we really can focus on. And I've been hearing that from a lot of teachers, that like the teachers will fill in the blanks, and you know, we need to focus on other stuff. And the other thing that was making me laugh is that we probably should have done our presentations together, because there's so many things that are in common. I was like, oh yeah, we're basically on the same page, which is not much of a surprise.
Honestly, we are always on the same page. We should know from this moment forward that not like anything we do separate, we should just combine others' minds anyways.
That's true. So I hope that was helpful for you listening. And if you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay or on YouTube, then feel free to, you know, just ask us, ask Lynn any direct questions. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.